Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Good to see you. Seeing as we're in North Carolina, I'll do that again because because of my accent, I never get the response. Good evening. It just isn't convincing when you sound like I do. If somebody from North Carolina was really saying it. It's just great that you're here. Thank you for coming. It's delightful to have you. I hope you're going to keep eating. Steve, you stopped eating. You're not going to eat that, are you? Can I have it? Okay. Like you, I'm not going to eat it either for obvious reasons. It is a delightful evening. It was really nice to walk around earlier. I was saying to some of our guests, it feels more and more like I know more and more of you, looking out at familiar faces like Dr. Brooks and many other people. And it's great to know how much people come back every year, particularly to this event, and get an enormous kick out of it, because this is one of the most direct opportunities for the people who support this college to meet the people who are the most important in the college, and those are the students. They're always the students. I want to recognize just a couple of people, actually just two people, this evening. I've tried to get around. I know I haven't shook everybody's hand, but I do want to recognize in particular, we're very delighted to have as our guests again tonight, as last year, Joanne and Joel Bacon, who are here at table 2 to my left, who those of you who attend every year will know the parents of Charlotte, who passed away in 2012 in December at Sandy Hook. So Charlotte, as you know, Charlotte's in the class, and the Charlotte Bacon Memorial Scholarship is supported by her parents, who make an enormous commitment to be here again. And I encourage all of the students, please, to meet them this evening if you can, if you get a chance at the end of the evening. It's particularly important this week, as you understand, that we think about the safety of our young people. I don't know what the solutions are. Smarter people than me, no doubt, will have to find that out. But the kind of things that Joanne and Joel are doing for young people are going to be a part of that. So we very much hope you can be engaged in that debate as we try and find a way to keep young people safe, young people of all ages. Okay. So let me do some recognition and thanks. I want to thank the Scholarship Committee. We almost never do this, and they do a lot of work. It's really hard to make decisions about how to help. And Marcy Murphy, Dr. Marcy Murphy, I know the Scholarship Committee here, so I haven't seen Marcy tonight. No, I haven't seen Marcy. Jennifer Luff, Dr. Luff, exhausted by her committee duties. Barrett Slanning and Kristen Messenger, who I also suspect are recuperating somewhere. They're not here, but they did a lot of work to make these awards possible, and we're grateful to them. Let's give them a round of applause. I want to thank our Student Services Department, led by Jeff Huckle, and foundation staff especially. They do a lot of work to make this event possible, to organize this event and make it fun. We hope you're enjoying being here in a different venue. I think it's rave, right? Are you guys? They're all busily scraping plates back there. It's rave. There's Thomas. Do you know Thomas, right? Thomas, the best bartender at NC State, one of my favorites. The rave guys do an amazing job wherever we are. I got their attention now. They're looking at me now. We want to thank them very, very much indeed, wherever we host this event. Thank you. Right, and now to academic affairs. So you met, possibly for the first time, Dr. Nelson. Dr. Nelson, she's right there. She's coming back up in a minute, so you'll be looking forward to that and getting rid of me. What about Jennifer Neal? Jennifer Neal is not here. I think she is also exhausted, but Jennifer leads is a critical leader within our program alongside Laura. The thing about Laura is that she is new. And Laura Nelson joined us just a short while ago, like 9 months, you told me yesterday. I thought it was 8, you told me it was 9. Longer for you than for me, it turns out. But Laura came to us from Michigan State. She's a small animal surgeon. But she's really one of the nation's leaders in terms of how do we best educate veterinary students. We were delighted to recruit her last year. We're excited about the things that she's doing with our amazing team of educators, and we're glad to have her. Normally, I also do a bit of an update about the college. The good news is I'm going to spare you that and just update you about one thing that we're particularly proud of. We had a chance to talk about this at the Board of Trustees meeting where we gave a presentation last Friday, and that's our house system. That's a house system. Students, is it a good thing? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kate, for the who. I appreciate that. It's actually an amazing thing. If you want to know more about it, I know many foundation members have actually joined this, but it's a really innovative thing that started in 2016, and we had a chance to showcase it to the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees, and members are here with us. Dr. Susan, I just gave you a doctorate, Susan. So Susan Ward is here this evening, and I think it's an example, a great example of a program that is there to help our students, but it helped a lot more people than that. This was an idea that came from a combination of faculty and staff members, and it's kind of like Harry Potter, right? You get to join a house, be in a house. It's not about sports and games as much as it's about a personal well-being. It's about well-being. And we put 2 classes in it. So 2 classes 100, that means 200 students are in it. What happened to the other 2? Because it's just started. We've only recruited 2 classes since our house system started. Well, we've got 388 students out of 400 who have joined. I don't know what's going on with those 12 people. I'm going to talk to them. But we're not surprised. There's a lot of interaction, there's a lot of fun, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of differences around these kind of activities that we do. But then the faculty joined. So we got 160 faculty and more than 70 of them joined. A couple had to because they originated it, but almost all of those who joined just did it. We've got 400 plus staff members. Over 170 of them have joined. We've got 107 house officers. There's no way they were going to join. They're only here for a couple of years. They're busy as heck in the clinic. 65 of them have joined. In fact, 60% of the college have joined this. And it slices through all the different layers. So that's my only highlight of the college I want to talk about. Gordon Neville. I can see Gordon and Pat because Gordon's wearing that really discreet jacket. I want to recognize, I did decide I'd like to recognize Gordon and Pat because Gordon wasn't feeling so great earlier today, but they're here anyway. They're amazing donors, great folks who are great examples of the kind of donors we love at this college. Passion for animal agriculture. They've given to NC State more than $600,000 now in total. And they've given amazingly, as a part of that, to this vet school. They support the College of Agriculture, Life Sciences and the College of Veterinary Medicine. He has worked almost all of his years in the dairy biz. Now he's more of a beef farmer. Well, actually, he and she are more of beef farmers, I should say. I'm getting a look from Pat. And we're just delighted to have them here. So I'm going to pick out a couple of donors. I'm going to pick the 2 you guys to thank. So I will give you a few numbers. We had nearly 300 students apply for scholarships this year. We were delighted that well over 60% of them we were able to make awards to. From funds that came clearly from within the university and almost entirely from within the college, that totaled about $585,000 that have been awarded this year. And externally, we ought to recognize a lot of partnering organizations, maybe through a firm that somebody's parents works for, or some other entity that just gives directly to our students, another nearly $143,000. So $728,000 were given out this year, which sounds like an amazing total. Well, I hate to say this in front of our students, but when our new class graduates in May of this year, they will walk out of the door with an $11 million net debt, okay? $11 million. That's a daunting sum. But you're making an impact on it. And let me tell you, if you get $1,000 now or early in your time as a student, over a lifetime, $1,000 is a car and a nice one. It's a significant thing. And we're doing more every year. You'll know the animals. We recognized Ross, he was with us last year, and Michelle Annabel, who made the amazing Annabel Pledge, which they have now almost completely fulfilled, close to $5 million. It will be a $5 million gift, matched by the Terrys. Well, they gave that in a year when the market wasn't doing very well, so we weren't able to report big returns. Well, this year we have a brand new $230,000 of income that we'll be awarding Laura in the next few weeks. And when that thing is fully realized in a couple of years, it will add $400,000 to what we're able to hand out. So we are making a difference. It does help enormously when you give at the beginning of people's careers. So we thank you all. So now my job is to introduce our next speaker. And it is Katie Jessing. What better example of an incredible supporter? She's class of 1991. She's still practicing. That's what I was told. What year was it? What year? 2001? 2011? Which? 94. Well, I'm going to have to talk to my speechwriter. She's still practicing. In fact, she tried to get off early tonight, but just made it for the beginning. She was worried about it. She's a member of our Small Animal Advisory Board that Steve Marks set up so recently. She's a foundation board member. She is a personal donor of $3.67 million to establish the Katie Jessing and Rana Davidson Chair in Gerontology. And which is the largest chair at North Carolina State University, and Natasha Roby's installed in that. But I want to highlight tonight the Catherine Wolfe Morn Scholarship, which I believe her mum started giving to in memory of your grandmother, $200,000 endowment. It's needs-based. There are students that are benefiting from it. She is the most amazing alumni we have. Katie.
Wow, what Dr. Lund said is so not real. I am not amazing, I'm just me. So anyway, again, welcome everybody here. This is such a wonderful, wonderful group of people. Every single donor here, you don't know what you have done for each and every student here. It is phenomenal. The veterinary profession is, in my mind, the best profession anybody could go into. We have the compassion, we have the love of animals and people, and my God, are we a smart group of people, myself excluded. But seriously, I look at this room of all these students, and without the generosity of all these donors, I don't think half of you would be here. It is so expensive to go to school, and I'll tell you, I have been to other schools. I was up at Cornell. I have done a couple community colleges, et cetera, all along. I cannot say how much this school has given back to me. For those of you who don't know, my mom, when I graduated, she didn't know what to give me for a graduation present, and she was just so proud of me. She was so proud of the school for turning out a veterinarian like me. I mean, I don't know what she was seeing, but anyway. But she wanted to give back because she recognized what a wonderful school this is. So she did establish the scholarship in memory of my grandmother, who never got to see me graduate. And what it was, she actually point blank said to me, I don't know what to give you for graduation. And we talked about it, and we said, well, why don't we start a scholarship for students? I, as a student, came in as an older student, so that's where we put an age on it, saying we want to help the older student, because there's so many people in this room who are maybe in their second careers. We wanted to help that. So over the years, this has become a very significant scholarship, and I am so proud of it. And I'm really proud that my mom is the one who thought of it. And she was a wonderful person. And, you know, I want to continue her legacy, which is why we established the chair in her name. And I'm actually looking at this room saying every single person here who is going to be graduating, you are going to, once you graduate, right now I'm sure you're all going, oh God, graduation, or oh my God, we don't know what we're doing, we're in debt and everything. I understand that, but I also understand that I think each one of you is going to learn to love this university if you don't already. You don't know what an education this university has given you. And I just, as I said, I love this place tremendously, and I guess part of why I'm sort of leading up to this right now is I feel it's really important for each and every student who has received scholarships to think about maybe giving back so you can help another person in your situation to get this wonderful education with these wonderful faculty and staff and just this environment, this beautiful building, the curriculum, everything. And so excuse me, what I am planning on doing is I want to start a new scholarship, and we need to get this thing endowed, and I challenge each and every alum who has ever received a scholarship to contribute to this. For us to endow it, it would be $25,000, correct? And I am willing to match donations up to the $25,000. So I really, really want to encourage each and every alum here. I understand maybe it's not going to be for 5 years, 10 years, but truly, as Dr. Lund said, every dollar that is given helps. And I mean, you as alums, wouldn't you feel proud that you might be able to allow another student to come through this beautiful, wonderful, magnificent program? So I do want to, as I said, start a scholarship. It will be an alumni scholarship, but I need some help from everybody out there, and we're going to be asking every single class who's graduated from day one to help. And we know that sometimes we'll get a big chunk, but again, even $50, that's going to help, and you should be so proud to give back to the school. I am very proud to give back to the school. I can't think of any other place I want my money to go to. I'll be quite honest. And I look out at each and every one. I actually know some of you students. I know many faculty members, the staff. This is family, guys. And you may not know it now, but this is a family. And my God, we are strong. And I think to get us stronger, let's all stick together, which I think you all are doing. But let's continue it even after you graduate. And as I said, I challenge every single alum in here, or student and alum in here, to think about how can you give back to the school. And if it might help, I will match dollar for dollar, okay? And I don't know what else to say other than this is a great school. And thank you personally to every single faculty member that got me through school. I don't know what I would have done without all of you, and I see a couple of you sitting here. And I promise I was not the best student. You can ask Dr. Smallwood. Anatomy and we did not get along. But anyway, but as I said, this is just a challenge I want to present to all of you. And I mean, as students, are you receptive? Let me hear from you guys. Yes? All right, all right. Well, anyway, that's all I have to say, and thank you so much.
Good evening again. I remain Dr. Laura Nelson, and thanks again for the wonderful, wonderful introduction there. I was asked recently to say a few words here and to introduce our two student speakers. And I said that's fine as long as I got to brag about them. So you've got to sit at tables with some of our veterinary students. To be completely honest, I'm in this business because I think veterinary students are among the most fantastic populations of humans on the earth. They're amazing when they come into our schools, they grow and they learn how to do all sorts of cool stuff. They graduate sometimes doing radically different things than they showed up to do, which is really exciting too. And then you get to follow what they do in the world, and that is also amazing. So veterinary students are awesome, and you know that, and that's why we're all here tonight. The first speaker I'd like to introduce is Ms. Samantha Lynn. I want to introduce you as doctor, and it's awkward not to. Ms. Lynn is one of our second-year students, so I'm just going to talk about what she's done since she showed up here, which is only like a year and a half ago. Okay, just keep that in mind. I know Samantha because she's a member of our fairly nascent peer tutor program. So we recruited on fairly short notice a group of second-year students to help tutor first-year students in courses where they were struggling, and that has been fantastically successful, and we really, really appreciate the work and great feedback from the students who've received that help, and I think it's been a really great growth experience for people that have served as tutors, and so it's an absolute win-win. Also in her spare time, Samantha did some fairly major research for the American Kennel Club Canine Health Foundation to make sure that their grant program was working effectively. She coordinates the Student Emergency Surgery calendar, is an active member of the Surgery Club and SCABMA, and wrote a few papers and stuff in her spare time. I'm not even going to get into undergrad, other than to say that she steered really, really expensive boats at Harvard for a while. And anyway, pretty awesome person. So give it to Dr. Samantha Lund. So.
Get me? Okay, I think so. Thanks, Dr. Nelson, for that undeserved introduction. Hi, I'm Sam. I'm a second-year student here, and I was asked to speak about scholarships. So anybody who knows me knows that I've always been the girl with the plan, and not just the 4-year-old girl who wanted to be a vet when she grew up, though obviously I was also that girl. I was the person who, by middle school, knew which college I was going to, what vet school I would attend, what major I would have. I would go to Texas A&M for college, major in biomedical sciences, and stay there for vet school. Yeah, so side note, it's a little awkward because now I know my donor went to A&M, so I'm saying all this. In hindsight, having visited College Station, I'm not entirely sure why I wanted to stay there for 8 years, but alas, if you know me, you know that none of this came to fruition. The summer before my senior year of college, I met a cute boy at a classics conference, which tells you how nerdy I was in high school. And I decided on a whim to apply to Harvard because that's where he was headed. I didn't even know this guy. It was very, I spent the next 4 years in Cambridge realizing how much I was not a fan of the snow and putting my parents in a lot of debt. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I also started getting more involved with specialty medicine and research, and I began tossing around the idea of specializing and potentially pursuing a PhD. But even during my time there, going to Texas for vet school was still the plan. I think it was something about avoiding snow by going south. That worked out well. I applied to a bunch of schools during my senior year, absolutely certain that if I got into A&M, I would go. The day I got my acceptance letter, I hung it on the wall, filled out my matriculation letter, and sealed it in an envelope, ready to mail it in. A day later, when I got the acceptance email to NC State, I brushed it off. But that weekend, while I was at a veterinary hospital in Boston, the cardiologist I was shadowing found out that I had gotten into NC State and was way more excited about that than my acceptance to Texas A&M, which incidentally is where she did her residency. When I told her I was on the fence about visiting Raleigh for admit weekend, she said, "You have to go." The rest is history. I visited, fell in love with NC State, and had to open that envelope again and check a different box on my A&M matriculation letter. Having been here a year and a half now, I have never regretted that decision. As all of you know, this is an amazing vet school, and while I can't compare what my vet school experience might have been like somewhere else, the opportunities I have been afforded here, such as my job as a student emergency surgery technician, make it hard for me to imagine having a better experience anywhere else. Of course, as an out-of-state student here the first year, I can't say I didn't feel a bit of sticker shock when I got my bill that first semester. But through the generosity of the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid, as well as the North Carolina Veterinary Medical Foundation, I've been fortunate enough to receive some fantastic scholarships to help lessen the burden over the past few years. Last year, when I was the recipient of the James Edgar Smallwood Scholarship for Success in First Year Anatomy, I was so honored, not only because it meant I didn't have to take out quite as many loans, but also because it showed that there were magnanimous donors willing to help out poor vet students. And I'm still sorry I didn't go to Texas A&M. While debt is something that affects graduate students across the board, I think that veterinary students feel this stress especially hard, given the debt-to-income ratio of our profession. I think I can speak for many of us when I say that we are indebted to our donors and their scholarships for allowing us to pursue a career not motivated by financial incentives. At the moment, my plan is still to specialize after vet school and maybe even go after a PhD if I haven't completely burned out by then. So I likely won't have a quote-unquote real job for maybe 10 more years. Having the support of scholarships reminds me every day that there are a bunch of people out there validating our hard work and making it a little easier to justify pursuing a life plan that may not be the most financially fruitful, but is certainly rewarding enough in other ways to more than make up for it. Of course, given how the first 23 years of my life plan has gone, perhaps a better epithet for me should be the girl with the plan that never quite happens the way she planned. All to say that I've taken the long way in learning that life involves taking things in stride, whether they are decisions you make or decisions made by uncontrollable circumstances in life. I've certainly made some questionable decisions, whether choosing a college based on a romantic whim or getting a puppy right before second year. But I have never doubted that coming to NC State for vet school was the absolute right decision for me, and having these scholarships to support me has cemented that decision. Thanks, guys.
Our next student speaker is Ms., which I'm also going to call her, Miss Kate Thompson, also a member of our second year class. Again, just put in context the amount of time she's been here. Third year. It was correct on my form. Again, I need to get a better speechwriter. Nonetheless, not been here very long. One of the things that she did during her first 2 years here, however, I'm just gonna, because I think this is pretty amazing. She was interested in having Dr. Temple Grandin come and talk to the college. How many of you know who Dr. Temple Grandin is? Yeah, I know. That's pretty incredible. I mean, that's somebody I would feel vaguely shy to invite to talk at my college. But she did that. She coordinated the visit. Dr. Temple Grandin is, of course, a renowned welfare advocate and behaviorist, and she gave a talk for the veterinary students. But in addition to that, she's, of course, very important in the autism community, and Kate helped arrange a public venue for her to speak to over 800 members of the public from North Carolina, which include many people with the autism spectrum who really got the chance to hear somebody talk about what it's like to have a different mind and a different way of looking at the world. So it's a tremendously impactful thing to do in your spare time as a veterinary student. So that's pretty amazing. Kate's passion is around behavior and shelter medicine. She also has served as one of the 4-team organizer for the 26th annual CBM Dog Olympics, which is a pretty cool event. And she's one of our student ambassadors. So again, another absolutely amazing member of our student population. So I'll hand it over.
Am I shorter than you? Okay. Well, hi everyone. I'm Kate Thompson. I'm a third-year veterinary student and scholarship recipient. And I want to take a few minutes today just to kind of share my personal story and hopefully impress on everybody just how important and the long-standing impact that donor generosity has on student life and student education. But first I want to start at my roots. I'm originally from a low-income community in South Mississippi called Picayune. It's a weird name for a town, and people often ask me what it means. And growing up, I had always been told that it was a Spanish coin, but it also has a more common meaning, which I actually didn't know until I was a senior in college and I was studying for the GRE because it was on one of those vocab flashwords. It means trivial and of little value. And I remember thinking, wow, that is spot on. Let me explain. My sisters and I, we all attended the Picayune public schools. For those of you who don't know, the state of Mississippi is consistently ranked 50th for education. This was never a surprising statistic for me, and let me give you a few examples why. In AP English, my teacher argued with me that Shakespeare was still alive. For an honors bio assignment, we made cakes shaped like cells. Cells are traditionally round or square, much like cakes. And then our teacher ate them. And in US history, I watched the first 45 minutes of the movie Sandlot 28 times. And I never had to take a final exam because if you had a C as an average, you didn't have to take final exams. That school was different than that. So we had to fight for our education. My mom especially fought for our education. And every day, after school and on the weekends, she would make us do an hour of additional assignments that she called mama work. And we'd have to sit at the table and work through these ridiculously thick books on geography or chemistry or mathematics, and we absolutely hated her for it. But she always reminded me, you have to fight for your education. So we did. Because of my mother's guidance, I was able to escape Picayune High for my last 2 years of high school, and I was attending the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science, which is a free public boarding school upstate. And when it came time to apply for colleges, I knew I would have to fight for my education again. Coming from a family with limited finances, I understood that I would be relying entirely on academic grants, scholarships, and odd jobs to make that work. And as a 17-year-old, that was daunting. But I fought really hard, and I made it work. And when I was notified that I got into veterinary school at NC State, my #1 choice, I was so relieved. I finally did it. I was going to realize my dream of being a veterinarian. I would no longer feel trivial and of little value. And that's when I learned a fun new term, debt-to-income ratio. Then I took out a loan for my out-of-state tuition. Then I saw the starting salary for shelter veterinarians. And I did what I'm sure other students in this room have done, where you look up the top paying jobs for veterinarians and you're like, I could do these. Like, this seems fun, I could like that. So I was compromising my career before it had even started. And that just didn't seem fair to me. And for the first time in my life, I wondered, is it worth it to me? I was doubting if I should pursue veterinary medicine at all, let alone shelter medicine. But mid-panic, I could hear my mother at the back of my brain, you have to fight for your education. So I did. I moved to Raleigh and I picked up every job that I could to make it work. And by second year, I was working 5 separate part-time jobs as a veterinary technician, a tour guide, an in-home nurse, a pet sitter dog walker, and an academic tutor. And I wanted to be able to sustain that for all 4 years. I really did. But it was depleting so much of my time that I needed for studying or for my school clubs or sleeping. And I felt like I was drowning. And that horrible doubt just crept back up in me. Is it worth it? And I was actually on my lunch break at my clinic job when I got the email. It was an email from Nakia White, our amazing admissions coordinator and personal angel, notifying me that I had been selected as a scholarship recipient. And I just exploded into ugly tears in the break room, which made my coworkers really uncomfortable. But I could care less. So to my donors, I want you to know this. You threw me a life raft when I needed it most. You showed a confidence in me that I had lost in myself. Because of you, I can actually do what I came here to do instead of scrambling to mitigate my debt and negotiating with myself on my dreams. Finally, I don't have to fight for my education anymore. Thank you.
Wow. My name is Nat Hyde, and I have the privilege and honor of serving on your board of directors for the Veterinary Foundation. And Kate, you just blew my whole closing. That was an amazing story, and thank you for sharing what's a very personal journey. Sam, wow. Followed somebody to Harvard and ended up at the South anyway, which is a great thing to have happen. And Katie, you know, you changed some lives tonight. Where are you, Katie? I don't see you. There you are. You gave this room of people who are passionate about the veterinary business, veterinary profession, a way to give back. You gave people a way to start being philanthropic in the very first year out of school. She only asked you for 1 cup of Starbucks a month. Now, I know all vet students need caffeine, all new vets need caffeine. You can give up a Starbucks one a month and do her $50. So I want to thank you for the gifts. This is a really special evening when you think about it. You're in here with people of all walks of life. There are board members here, there are donors here, there are students here, there are faculty members here, there are staff people here. We all share one thing, and that's a passion, veterinary medicine. And so I hope you see how special evening this is every year and what a gift it is, not only from the donors, but to the students and what you've accomplished. Dr. Lund, I'll tell you I'm a proud member of Webhouse, so thank you for the opportunity, and I challenge any board member that's not to get involved with that. I want to remind everybody we have the open house March 24th, so we need to all get back to Raleigh for that. And finally, I'm going to encourage you to hang around. It's really kind of early still, and this is a unique opportunity. It's a warm spring evening, no one's rushing through the ice and snow to get home. Spend some time with the people that share your passion and get to know someone in the room you don't know. Students, I'm challenging each of you personally to make your first philanthropic gift back to the vet school and let Katie match it. 2 for 1s, I'm a banker. 2 for 1's a good deal. And I'll close with, Kate, you really struck it early. I'm a banker, so debt-to-income ratios is what I do. And so let's help these students with that opportunity. Finally, John joined. Where's John? John wants your picture. I'd love to be sure the donors get a picture with the students they've sponsored. The faculty members, for those of you graduating, I'm sure you want one last picture with that favorite professor who might be here tonight. And finally, I want to thank all of you for the time. A lot of you travel distances, the Bacons. Once again, it's great to have you with us. And I bid you safe travels, but do spend some time before you leave tonight with the folks who are in this room. And again, thank you for attending. Good night.